my name is Allie for those of you who don't know me, and I am the maker behind Crochet in the Mud, where I make both crochet plushies as well as pottery. This video I'm going to take you along with me as I redo my retail space. So I have been selling inside of a retail store for about 2.5 years now, and I've redone my space once. That was about a year ago. I did that in March of 2024, and it is now April 4th, 2025. So I'll pop some pictures up here, but I'm going to look at them on my iPad and then you can see them better on the screen. Oh my goodness. When I first moved into the space, I was sharing a bookshelf with another vendor. So it was like split down the middle and we each had a side. And you know, the space worked. It was nice because it was like a clear bookshelf, so you could see through the glass to the plushies that were below. But the issue with this space, like, you know, there wasn't much room to work with, and I had really tall heights for the shelves. So last March, one of the owners of the store actually reached out to me and said I was getting a new vendor neighbor and they did not want to use the bookshelf, so she was seeing if I would be interested in redoing my space, which it was time. I had already been there for about 1.5 years at that point, and I had never redone my space. So then I got to thinking, you know, how can I do my space myself? The part I struggled with was I had 20 inches of space. That made it hard for me to then figure out what I could do, because a lot of things were like 24 inches. So I have been wanting to get these stackable wooden crates from Michael's, so I figured it was time to do it. So this is what my space looked like, and this is how it's been for about 1 year. I really enjoy it after I have set it up. The issue with this space though, and the reason I'm wanting to redo my space, is customers are lazy. So now you can see what I would usually come back to. So this store is about 1 hour away from where I live. I don't mind doing that drive. I, as part of my agreement, work 6 hours a month, so I usually do 2 3-hour shifts, and that way I can restock and also reorganize my space. So typically when I come in, the top bucket is just piled with everything, and the bottom two have like nothing in there. So I had been brainstorming for probably a month about what can I do to change my space up. The problem was I was getting nowhere. I couldn't think of anything to do. And that's when they sent out an email saying that they actually just promoted one of the shift leads to be a manager now, and gave him the title of, I think it was creativity manager. If it's not, I'll put his title here. So I reached out to him telling him I was wanting to redo my space and needing some help, and he said, you come up with an idea, I'll come up with an idea, we'll collaborate. So when I was last at my shift, I was walking around looking at all the other vendors' displays, and I saw one person who, she has a lot more space, but she was using 3 Billy bookcases, and she has like a corner spot, so she was using like the corner Billy bookcases. And that's when like my brain was like, you know what? I could probably do this. Another issue I have is also, you know, I have plushies of varying sizes. I have crochet kits, I have pottery, I have stickers. So it's kind of hard to get a display that fits everything. But Billy bookcases, you can adjust the shelves. So the Billy bookcase is about 16 inches, so it doesn't take up my full 20, but I'm going to utilize that. So I met with Zach today about what we can do with my space and pitched him my idea. So I'll also put a really bad photo of my drawing with all my chicken scratch of what I'm thinking. So with those extra 4 inches, I think I'm going to try to have it not quite centered in my 20 inches. That way I can utilize this side. And possibly drill my sticker shelves into it. That way they're not taking up a shelf. I'll also probably put like a Meet the Artist printout on there because I know I've been meaning to do it for a while. Something Zach pitched we could do is possibly I make a tapestry of like my logo to put on one of the sides, or he thought it'd be cool to have like a tapestry where like the yarn is coming down and it attaches to the bookshelf in some sort of way. Or with my pocket pals, those are probably my best sellers at the store. So it's mostly octopus, but I'm slowly bringing in stingrays, and I've been meaning to bring in whales, I just haven't. He thought it'd be cool to kind of do like a net to put them in, where the holes are small enough that the plushies don't fall out, but big enough that they can be pulled out. So I might look into making like a market bag or something like that to hang off the side. There's lots of things here. Lots of ideas floating around. I think we are going to go with the Billy bookcase. Other ideas he pitched was doing like building like an S shelf, or like at stores where they have those like circles with all the strings down that like bouncy balls are in. That would at least be like a designed for chaos way. I know that my space is not going to be organized all the time. I'm just trying to find a way that it looks more put together rather than having everything piled in that top bucket. That's just something that's been frustrating me for the past year, and I had a feeling it was going to happen when I designed that setup. But yeah, I thought I would take you along on the journey. We made a goal to, by early May, get this fully finished out. So yeah, today is April 4th, and hopefully we're looking really cool by early May. We want to try to get it done before the summer traffic kicks in. So I will check in with you when we have more updates on what the space is going to look like, but I'm really hoping it turns out cool and is something I can be happy with. I'm sure I'm going to love it more than what I currently have. Not that what I currently have is bad. I loved it when I first did it, but the flaws are just too much for me right now, so time to revamp. And also, revamping your space also just brings back in the old customers who are like, oh, I've seen that. So not only am I trying to introduce new plushie types, also try to get a new type of display. So I will check in with you the next time I have an update. at Timelapse. It was quite a couple of hours to get this accomplished, but I'm very happy with where we are so far. And the setup is not quite done. So, of course, we ran into a couple of issues. I mean, why did I think we wouldn't? So you might have noticed the guy in the salmon pants was helping me out. He is who I mentioned earlier, where he is the design manager. I forget his proper title. But he's been helping me out with this whole process. And my shelf, or my space, is on a hill. For some reason, the store is not even ground and there's a bunch of ramps in the store. So, you know, of course I always forget about this fact until I go to redo my space or move stuff around. So he actually measured it and I was at a 2-degree incline, which doesn't seem like a lot until you think about how tall my shelf is. So there's normally scrap pieces of wood in the back that we can use to level out our spaces, but we couldn't find them. So he thought it would be a good idea to take the brackets that IKEA comes with to anchor it to the wall, and we put one on either side holding it so that it doesn't shake a little. So hopefully that holds. I think it will. I should probably at some point though bring something to shove under the side. But another issue I ran into, of course, we spent all that time bracketing it to the wall, and then I realized that my lights that we were going to plug in, I forgot to put the cord through before we bracketed it to the wall. So we almost did take it off the wall, but we didn't in the end. He was able to shove it through the crack and then push it out. So in case you were ever wondering why we were celebrating at one point. So then I got that done in there. I meant to sit down and kind of plan out these shelf heights, because one nice thing about the Billy bookcase is that you can buy extra shelves, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do this setup. And I wasn't sure how many extra shelves I needed, so I went ahead and bought 2 to start with. I also live 5 minutes from IKEA, so it's not that far away. And I ended up wanting 3, so I will be buying another shelf here in the future. I'll throw a picture up if I have one, where you can see the top has an awkward amount of space. So I think I'm gonna make that a second pottery shelf, hopefully. I do have a bunch of pots that are in my overstock, and I also just unloaded a glaze kiln, so it'll be very nice to have even more in my back stock, but having a second shelf to put the pottery up would be really nice. I bought a 6-pack of those lights, and I think I'm gonna buy another 3-pack. You can kind of tell, but the shelf towards the bottom that has the crochet kit on it does not have a light. And then the new shelf will get a light, and then the very, very top will get a light, and that will make up the 3 extra lights. I have also since put in an order to get in a timer so that my lights will automatically turn off and on during business hours. Another thing that neither of us thought about, so my space is 20 to 22 inches, I'm not sure exactly, but the shelf is 15 inches. So I was wanting to utilize the side of my shelf. That's why, if you notice, there's a gap between me and my left neighbor, because that is still my space, but I have plans to utilize it. I previously had these, I think it's technically a nail polish holder, and that's what I had my stickers on, and I was going to screw that into the side of my shelf. Well, I did not think to measure that, and it is way too long to go on the side of my shelf. So, have to come up with a new plan. I was looking on Amazon this morning, and I can't, of course, find, I think 11 inches is how long I have on my side. I also still have 5 inches of wall space to utilize as well, but that is kind of hard to find stuff that'll fit that. But we talked about either doing a pegboard, which I think is going to be the more expensive of the options, or something else. So I can't find a similar nail polish shelf, but I found a like business card holder that if I remember, I'll shoot up a picture to kind of show you what I'm looking at purchasing. So there's still a couple of improvements to make. I also meant to make a Meet the Artist, and I never know what to put on it, so I procrastinate doing it, and then every time I get to my shelf I'm like, oh, I meant to do that. I think I also want to put up a like QR code for follow me on social medias here. Just some other improvements like that. So this is where we're at for now. I think it's a much improved setup. So I'll probably throw a clip in a future video once I fully set everything up. I do work a shift the Tuesday after Memorial Day, which is a week from today of me filming, but I spent all my money on yarn at Joann. I literally have an entire 20-pound box sitting next to me that's overflowing with just overflow Bernay blanket that didn't fit on my shelf behind me. So I think I'm gonna buy a couple of things, but then it might wait until like June that I fully finish. I'm really gonna try to do most of it by Tuesday at the very least, because also my stickers, if you haven't seen them before, are a lot of Pride puns, and I need those out for Pride. So I think that's all I have for now on the update for my setup. So I am also joining a new store here coming up. However, I'm doing a built-in bookcase at their store, for now at least. I wanted to do a bigger space, but I just can't reason with myself. I did the math, and just to break even between paying myself labor, materials, and what would be the rent for that store, I would need to make $700 a month just to break even. So I'm sure most of you also crochet, so you know how much time that takes to make $700 of plushies. Usually that's about a week's worth of work for me, working full time. So I can't give away a week just to break even in a store. So for now we're doing a built-in bookshelf or bookcase. So I'll make another video for that once we join that store, but now I've got 2 different displays to be working on. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down below if you also sell in a consignment store. But thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!